It feels like the PlayStation 5 generation just started and there are already rumblings of what comes next with the PlayStation 6. Many people have felt we haven't really had any generation-defining games coming out of PlayStation, and some of that is due to COVID, and a bit of it is also due to the focus on live service games, and also the cancellation of many of them behind the scenes. There are a lot of game series that Sony have sat on for many years without a new entry. In today's video we'll be going over 5 games that they need to bring back as soon as possible. We are going to start off with a classic that kicked butt across PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 before disappearing, and that is Twisted Metal.
Maybe back in your day, sweetheart, but look, you name me one car combat game that was as good on PlayStation 1, kicked ass on PlayStation 2, and kicked even more ass on PS3. The ultimate ass kicking. Name it.
The gameplay is pretty simple. You get in a car, you get weapons, and you try to destroy every other car in the area. One of the highlights of Twisted Metal though were the character stories. Every character had a background, and depending on who you played it would push their story, giving you incentive to play and beat the game as everyone. You see, if you win the Twisted Metal tournament, you gain a wish. But of course, as wishes sometimes go, they usually have unintended consequences for the wishmaker, which adds a dark twist to the character's story. There was a Twisted Metal game in the works as a live service game recently that got cancelled, and I actually don't know why this went upward. It seems like the perfect kind of series for that. Allow us to unlock characters from the franchise and even new ones, and just put us in a match where we have to win. Unlock new ways to customize the cars through playing the game, and if you did go the live service route, then just have you unlock small cutscenes or even just lore entries for the characters that push their stories forward. Twisted Metal even has a TV show at the moment that seems to be doing very well with many fans praising it. You don't have to completely reinvent the wheel for the series, just give us fun car combat and unique character stories and you should be good to go, especially when we haven't seen this series since 2012 on PlayStation 3. Twisted Metal could be something unique in today's lineup of games, and I need to be able to play as Axel or Mr. Grimm again soon.
Light 'em up, boys.
The next game is a little more lighthearted and one of the greatest platform franchises of all time, featuring, well, not your usual hero type, but instead featuring a thief, and that is Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper, if you don't know, is a series of games about, well, Sly Cooper, a gentleman thief raccoon, who is part of a family of thieves and starting off his adventures in the game when his family's book of master thieves moves are stolen. He is accompanied by Bentley, a turtle who is skilled with technology, and Murray, who is a hippo and also the muscle of the group. Sly Cooper also has a complicated love interest in Carmelita Fox, who works for Interpol, but in the most recent game did help the group out quite a bit. The last time we saw the Sly Cooper franchise was in 2013 with Thieves in Time, and unfortunately the game ended on a huge cliffhanger with Sly Cooper waking up in ancient Egypt alone. I'd assume the sequel would be about his crew trying to rescue him, or maybe even about Sly Cooper throughout the generations following in his family's footsteps. Penelope, a love interest for Bentley and a villain in both Sly 3 and Thieves in Time, was shown to have escaped at the end of the game too, so possibly a follow-up with Bentley and her. There isn't much to change about the gameplay and is probably one of the safest games you could make. Bring the franchise back in a collection and let people check it out, and then create a fun new platformer game where you go through different eras in time as Sly Cooper. It seems simple enough, and having at the very least one more game to close out the story and wrap things up would be amazing. Sly Cooper is one of the mascots of the PlayStation 2 era, and having him pop up again to finish his business is something that fans need to see.
Hey, you know, that bazooka really brings out the color of your eyes. Very fetching.
You think? This pistol packs a paralyzing punch. You ought to try it. Might snap you out of your crime spree.
You may know the name Insomniac Games from series such as Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet & Clank, and even recently the Spider-Man video game series. But during the PlayStation 3 era, they worked on another series, Resistance. Resistance was a first-person shooter that took place in an alternate history of the 1950s where an alien species known as Chimera invaded and conquered Earth. It was one of the premier launch titles for the PlayStation 3, and for a while felt it had a big push behind it and was beloved by PlayStation fans. Of course there was some drama, and before Insomniac was bought by PlayStation years later, they split off for a bit, seemingly leaving the Resistance series in the water. Now Insomniac Games seem to be tackling the Marvel Universe games between working on building up their Spider-Man universe, but also working on a Wolverine video game, not really giving them a lot of time to go back to visit Resistance. This would lead another company taking the series over, which I think could work out fine. Technically, Resistance 3 set up an ending where the Chimera were being wiped out, but that doesn't mean we can't go backwards in time and see the war from other countries or just in other locations and how the Resistance group fought back against the threat. I would hope the multiplayer, if they had any, would take inspiration from Resistance 2, where it felt more like an RPG. There were multiple classes to choose from, and I personally remember putting so much time into it and haven't felt another multiplayer game has scratched that itch quite yet. Either way, Resistance was last seen in 2012, with Resistance Burning Skies, and I feel like there's still a lot of the world to explore and lore to learn about, and maybe even rebooting the story for a new generation of gamers could work.
We can't go home. Not yet.
You're never gonna get inside that tower. Just give it up, Joe.
There's got to be a way.
Now I know it feels like there are first-person shooters releasing all of the time, and a lot start to feel the same gameplay-wise. Resistance had the whole alternate history alien invasion which set it apart a bit, but there is another first-person shooter series that we haven't seen in a little bit, and that is Killzone. Killzone started as a PlayStation 2 title and takes place far in the future in the 24th century, focusing on a galactic war between the Interplanetary Strategic Alliance and the Helgen Empire. The last game in the series was Shadowfall, which launched with the PlayStation 4, and we haven't heard anything about the franchise since. Guerrilla Games were the developers of Killzone, and they did find new fame when they released Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017, which since then has gotten a sequel, a planned multiplayer game, several other games taking place in the same universe, and even a movie coming out. This again leaves us in a position where I don't think Guerrilla Games would work on a new Killzone game, but surely another studio would want to take a shot at it. Being able to play around with futuristic weaponry and getting a bit creative with it should inspire many people who want to try and freshen up the first-person shooter genre. Killzone 3 was another game whose multiplayer I felt addicted to and put so many hours into, and would like to see an updated version and how they would handle it. I think there's still a lot to tell in the Killzone universe, and you could maybe even connect it to the Horizon universe without things getting too complicated. We are almost at a second generation without a new Killzone game, so seeing what you can make happen with the new technology of the PlayStation 5 or even PlayStation 6 would be exciting to see.
Lucas, when I look out there, I see our enemies testing us, seeing if we have the resolve.
If you send me back in, I will find him. I promise.
PlayStation has had a lot of success the past few years with the Spider-Man games from Insomniac, but it wasn't their first attempt at a superhero franchise of games. Sucker Punch Productions, the developers behind Sly Cooper, which we mentioned earlier, and the Ghost of Tsushima series, had attempted one before with Infamous. People who possess superhuman abilities are known as conduits in the Infamous universe, and we've seen several different abilities such as electricity, fire, ice, smoke, and even the power of, well, neon. The Infamous games were open world and had a focus on karma, or making choices throughout the story, or even in the open world area, that would move your character down the path of being a hero or down the path of being a villain, and would even allow you to access new abilities depending on what story you were trying to tell with them. Infamous was last seen with First Light, which was a smaller title, and while the Spider-Man series kinda scratches that superhero itch, Infamous allowed you to do something unique in allowing you to be the good guy or the bad guy and play the character however you wanted. The powers were creative, and I'd still love to be able to play as a character that could maybe control plants, but that is my personal wish. I hope we can return to the Infamous universe at some point in the near future, as the games really did stick out, and of course the developers had the freedom to tell whatever story they wanted to since it was their own original creation.
This is gonna be a short-term visit, man. We're just gonna get in, I'm gonna get some new powers, and then we're gonna come right back.
Come on, man, you deserve to relax. We're going to New Marais.
Hey, I need to be back here and ready when it shows up, Zeke. Half as long.
Twice as bright.
There are a lot of PlayStation game series that haven't been seen in a long time. Just going through this list was hard to narrow some down and may make some future videos about specific series and why we should see it come back or what they may look like. What PlayStation series do you want to see return in the future? Would you like to see any of the ones in the video come back? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.